If you're thinking about buying a home for the first time, here's some common myths that I see happen frequently that we're about to bust. Hey guys, Israel Favela here with Clearview Realty. So let's jump right into it. So the first one is that a lot of times for the first time home buyers, or a lot of times many buyers think that the closing costs and down payment are one and the same. So that's the myth. Now, really what the truth is that they're distinct. So a down payment and closing costs are two separate fees that are associated for you on purchasing a home. So let's define each one. So a down payment, what really that is it's what's going to be going towards your principal before they actually finance your home or before they actually close on your loan itself. So for example's sake, let's say we have a $100,000 home and your down payment is 5%. So that means $5,000 are going to be deducted from the $100,000. That's what you're going to be putting up front. So now you're going to be financing $95,000 as opposed to $100,000. So that's the down payment. It's going to go towards your principal amount. Now for the closing costs, those are fees that the lender charges, and it's a sum of a bunch of different fees, like your property taxes for the next few months, your insurance, and the fees that they charge themselves with the lender themselves. So if you notice, there are two separate things. One's going towards your down payment, towards your principal, and the other one is going to go towards the fees that the lender charges themselves. So they're two separate things. The next common myth that I see happen frequently is the down payment amount. Sometimes I heard people think that they need 20% down, which is a very, very large amount, especially for a $100,000 home. That's $20,000, which is insane, right? But the truth is it depends on the type of loan that you have. So if you have a VA loan, which really, to determine whether or not you qualify for this or not, you ask yourself, am I currently in the military or was ever before? And if the answer is no, you don't qualify for it. If the answer is yes, there's some other preliminary steps that you need to take to see if you qualify for the loan. But the down payment in this one is zero down. So there's no down payment on this one. So that's a nice little perk. The other one is the FHA. So that's a different type of loan. That's 3.5% down, and conventional is 5% down. I've seen some where it's 3%, but if you notice on these three different types of loans, which are the most common loans that are used, none of them reaches above, to 20%. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't put more on top of the 5%, the 3.5%, or the 0%. It just means those are the baseline. You can put more, but that's the base minimum that you need in order for you to be able to qualify for the loan itself or to use the loan itself. So the third thing that I see happen frequently that's a myth, is that the first time home buyers program is for anybody that's purchasing a home for the first time. Now, the truth is there's a credit limit and other criteria that you need to meet, and the credit being one of them, and usually it's about a 620 credit score that you need to meet in order for you to be able to qualify for this type of program. Now, there's one thing that you need to know is that the first time home buyers program really essentially is a down payment assistance program. And another thing that I would like for you all to know before using the down payment assistance is that there's a give and take. So if you're borrowing money for you to use this down payment, or you're using money from a certain bond or certain program, usually your interest rates ends up shooting up, more than where it's really at, about maybe a whole % up. So there's, a benefit for the front end is that you don't have to put money up front, but in the long run, you're going to be paying more because your interest rate is higher. But I recommend, if you have the funds for you to put the down payment, and in the long run, you're going to have a better interest rate. You're going to be saving more money in the long run because of it. The fourth thing is that you need to have a high credit score. And the truth is you don't need to have a high credit score. It really depends on the type of loan that you're using, right? But you don't need to have an obscene high credit score in the 800s. I mean, the higher the credit score, the better your interest rate's going to be, right? But you don't need to have a high credit score in the 800s for you to be able to qualify for a loan. Now, it really depends on the type of loan that you're using. For example, for VA, there's a myth that you need to have a credit score minimum of 580, and the truth is there is no credit score minimum. It's on an individual basis. So if your credit score, let's say, is 560, there's still an opportunity for you to qualify for a loan. That's where a mortgage professional is going to help you out to determine, what's your debt, what are some other criteria that can help you still meet the standard that can help you meet the standard for you to be able to qualify for this loan. The next one is the FHA, and that one you do need to have a credit score limit of 580. Now, that should not necessarily deter you from trying to see if you qualify for it or not. I recommend you still check to see what your credit score is with the mortgage company. If it's at a 560, they have something that's called a rapid rescore a lot of times. And what they can do is they can say, if you pay X amount of dollars for this credit card, we can do a rapid rescore and it can shoot up your credit above a 580. So like I said, the higher credit score, the better your interest rate's gonna be, but you can still qualify even if you're below a 580 for FHA. They can always do that rapid rescore to see if it applies for you. The next one is a conventional. Now the minimum credit score for this one is 620. However, this is, once again, it's important for you to talk to your mortgage professionals to see if it's more beneficial for you to stay with FHA in your 620 credit score range as opposed to going with conventional, because they're going to determine which one's going to be the best option for you. And if you have a higher credit score, the rule of thumb is to have like maybe like a 630, 640 for you to be able to benefit the most out of conventional. But like I said, it really depends on you individually. What works for one person may not work for the next person. The next one that I want to go over is that people think they have a better incentives if they stick with the bank that they're currently with. So well, a lot of times what happens is people are using their checking and their savings account with a particular bank, and they feel that, hey, you know what, I'm going to apply with a mortgage with that particular bank for my mortgage, thinking that there's going to be added incentives. And the truth is, I recommend you go with the one that's going to give you the lowest interest rate, because if you have the lower interest rate, you're going to be benefiting towards the long run. And a lot of times when people don't even want to explore other options because they feel like because this particular bank, have a checking with them and a savings, they're absolutely going to give me the best rate. Now, I recommend for you to shop around and not let that be a factor for you to shop around and check to see if you have a better interest rate. The last myth that I really want to go over is buyers. Some buyers think that if you go into a certain property that's on the market and talk directly to the listing agent, as opposed to having a buyer's agent representing you, that it's going to put them in a better position, or it's going to save them money, or it's going to get their offer accepted. Now, the truth is, it really depends on the situation, but let me explain to you a certain scenario that could happen. That happens very frequently. So let's say, for instance, there's a listing agent, a brokerage, that's going to represent the seller for them to sell their home. And before they even put their home on the market, they're going to determine what terms and what percentage they're going to be charging, or certain fee that they're going to be charging for that particular agreement. Let's say, for instance, in this case, it's 6%. So what they agreed upon is that if there is a buyer's agent that comes in, they're going to pay them 3%, and the listing side is going to get 3%. However, if they don't come in this particular situation, if a buyer's agent doesn't come in to represent the buyer, the brokerage that represents the seller is going to keep the entire 6%. That is a scenario that happens very frequently. So you got to be careful as a buyer. If you're thinking that you're going to get a benefit at the end, if you aren't represented by a buyer because you think you're going to put more money in the pocket of the seller, which is going to get your offer accepted, you got to be careful, because a lot of times they're not going to tell you what's agreed upon for you to know whether or not they're going to save that money or not. So it just really depends on the situation. And what I've seen happen most frequently is the example that I gave you. So I recommend to always bring in a buyer's agent, even if you've already purchased a home, because there's certain nuances that may not have happened during the first time you bought a home that will happen in the second time you buy a home. And it could be a factor of you not being able to negotiate that's going to work in your favor, and they may out negotiate you. So it just really depends. So the safe bet is to always come represented with a licensed agent that's going to help you out. Hey guys, so now that these myths are busted, I hope that you guys acquired some new knowledge or reinforced certain things that you guys know to be true. But if you guys have any sort of questions, you guys want to know about a certain aspect of buying a home or selling a home, feel free to reach out.